What authority did President Trump have to send the National Guard to Los Angeles over the objections of the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of the state? In his executive order, President Trump used Section 12406 of the U.S. Code, which authorizes the president to call upon the National Guard when there is a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. He used the same section of the U.S. Code to deploy the National Guard to the U.S.-Mexican border to support the Border Patrol agents there. Prior to these two instances, the only time this section of the U.S. Code has been used in this way is back in 1970, when Richard Nixon ordered military forces to New York City during a postal workers' strike. But that section of the code specifically bars federal troops from joining in civilian law enforcement activities. What the National Guard will be able to do is protect federal facilities and federal law enforcement officers, so the ICE agents that are trying to conduct their raids. It's not at all clear, really, what the Marines will be authorized to do beyond providing continuous coverage to those National Guard troops in support of the lead federal agency, which is ICE. However, the California governor, Gavin Newsom, has filed a legal suit disputing the legality of this deployment because the statute apparently requires the orders to be issued through the governor of the state, and he, of course, did not make any such request. The president may choose to get around that is to invoke the Insurrection Act. Presidents have deployed federal troops to the states fairly often using the Insurrection Act. The last time that happened here in California was during the Rodney King riots in 1992, when then Governor of California Pete Wilson specifically requested the federal government's help in putting down the riots. During the Civil Rights Movement, presidents relied on the Insurrection Act several times to send federal troops to states where segregationist governments were defying federal court orders for integration. For example, Dwight Eisenhower deployed Army troops to Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957, and President Lyndon Johnson called up National Guard and active duty troops to protect the Selma March in 1965 in Montgomery, Alabama. President Trump hasn't taken that step yet. So the National Guard and the Marines who have been deployed to Los Angeles are mostly standing around. But if the protests escalate and if they spread nationwide, it'll be interesting to see what the federal government's next action is.